What's up, guys? It's another edition of our Gags Goals updates, a road to 220. I don't know if you can see, I don't know how high definition the camera is, but it's really hot, I'm sweating, I'm dripping still. It was a tough workout today. I just want to kind of recap a little bit of some of the training that we have not filmed and have not documented. So if you watched last week's vlog, it was pretty cool. I got the chance, it was the first, actually I shouldn't say, it was the second workout I got to train together with my mom and my dad. It was the first workout we kind of filmed together. I want to kind of showcase some of the stuff that we're doing here, and also not just my training, but also kind of like what's going on in the gym. And we're going to try to just kind of showcase some of the other stuff that's kind of going on, because when it comes to training for a competition, we always kind of say it's not just like kind of, you know, the hour you're with us, or obviously with some of the powerlifting workouts it's longer than an hour, but it's not just the session you're with us, it's what you do the other 23 hours, the other 20 hours, whatever, however long your workout is in the course of a day. So what goes on in your personal life, what goes on in your career, if you have a business, if you have a family. So one of the things I've been trying to do is kind of include the family a little bit more into training. You know, my mom and my dad are getting older, they're in their 60s, which is my mom's birthday. Recently, she turned 61. My dad's 66, he's about to retire. So we're really trying to put a premier focus on their health and as well as mine. So even though I'm getting ready for this meet, I'm really trying to balance getting leaner, keeping my health to the best as possible. And it is important to note where athletics and health do not coincide with each other. If you want to achieve a really high level of success, you're going to be unbalanced and you're going to have to sacrifice some things, at least in the short term. So what we're trying to do here is showcase how I'm kind of juggling, you know, running the business, trying to improve my family situation, trying to improve myself, while still getting stronger, still getting leaner, and achieving my goals on and off the platform. So that being said, as I mentioned before, it's been challenging. I weighed about 242, been kind of sitting at 242, so I'm actually up a couple of pounds. And truth be told, I have kind of fallen off track a tiny bit here and there. I've been doing the best I can, but I have been doing a lot more continuing education. I've had a lot more events, been traveling a little bit, and doing the best. I've still been prepping meals and stuff. I did go out, so I was kind of joking with Elvis behind the camera, but you know, I did go out one night. I went out one night to kind of just enjoy myself. I had a couple of drinks. I don't normally drink. It's very rare I drink. It's maybe every couple of months. Maybe it's a special occasion, sometimes maybe after a meet or something like that. And it's usually social, but did have a couple of drinks, which did lead me to making some poor choices as far as food-wise. I did not get a lot of sleep the night before. I've been doing my squat day on Sunday, and I decided to kind of push through on very little sleep and probably had still some alcohol in my system, so I was very dehydrated. And I've just been feeling a little run down ever since. And I think it's important that, especially if we are optimizing, sometimes when you're optimizing, you don't kind of realize how good you're feeling when you have like that perfect sleep, when you have the perfect nutrition and all that. And even though I kind of deviated only really one night, it kind of led to some more poor decisions down the road. So just like you can kind of build positive momentum, I just wanted to kind of share with you one of my mistakes. And that kind of led to some negative momentum, which, you know, like I said, the drinking led to lack of sleep, led to some poor choices in the diet. And I was playing catch up for that the rest of the week. And if you watched the week of the vlog I did with my training, you can kind of see there's not many plates on the bar. There wasn't really many plates in the bar, just because my back was really bothering me. After, like I said, I probably pushed a little bit too hard, like the day after drinking, the day after, like the night after a lack of sleep, and I paid for it. So, you know, if you do fall off track, it is important to listen to your body. And I think sometimes, you know, if you get into a situation like that, where you had a lack of sleep, or your diet was poor, or you're dehydrated. Not to say that you have to skip training entirely, but be smart about it. Again, you can learn from my mistakes. I'm not perfect, so I want to kind of give you guys a little recap with that. So the last week or so that was like 2 weeks ago, so the last week or so I've been playing a little bit catch up on my recovery, trying to catch up on my diet. So my weight's been up a little bit. That being said, the InBody says, you know, the body fat is down a little bit, the muscle mass is up for a little bit. So I might have came out of the gate too strong. I was hoping to be closer to 235 at this point. It's getting close to September. But I'm gonna, you know, so I might have to water cut a little bit more than I would really like. But I'm gonna continue to kind of push forward on the diet, just focus on the process. I'm gonna tweak a little bit of things, maybe have a little bit of less carbohydrate on my non-training days and on my upper body days where it's not as taxing. So quick little recap, or maybe not so quick recap, but that's kind of what's going on. And then we'll kind of get into today's workout. So like I said, my lower back's been a little bit bothering me. kind of playing catch up with some of the bad decisions I made like about 2 weeks ago. So I've been playing to catch up a little bit more recovery. I decided to kind of tone down my accessories a little bit this week. I was a little bit more conscious about doing more kind of back supported or chest supported variations for things like rows and things like that. I didn't do any kind of overhead pressing this week, so I just tried to pay attention to more of just kind of give my spine a little bit of a break. And I'll probably be kind of doing this anytime the week before I get into my equipment. I will probably kind of using this method because it did seem to work pretty well. So even though when I woke up this morning, I wasn't really feeling 100%. I did a little yoga last night for down regulation, and we will most likely do an episode on how I'm implementing yoga and why I'm implementing yoga into my routine. It's not necessarily for mobility, it's for other reasons, for down regulation and recovery, which we'll get into in another episode. But I wasn't really sure what to expect today, but I always just go into the day and I try to just focus on the process the best I can. So I have goals, and I did hit my goals for today. So if you've been watching some of the other videos, basically what I'm doing in my equipment is I'm working up to a fairly heavy single, trying to work up to around like a last warm-up or / opener-ish weight, and then kind of go up with reverse bands from there. And basically what I'm trying to do is either reduce the band tension and or increase the amount of weight. So last suited deadlift workout, I did 565. Straight weight, I did 605 with a reverse monster mini, and I did 635 with a reverse light band. And that was a really challenging workout. I remember this workout went a little bit better, and I will actually say that I probably felt, I want to say, at least if I can remember, I probably felt worse going into this workout, but I think the weights moved a little bit better. I ended up widening my stance a little bit since I was a little bit heavier this time around. Going into my suit, things were fitting a little bit tighter. It was a little bit harder to get down to the bar. It was a little bit harder to get in a good starting position, so I went a little bit wider with my stance. I was a little bit more methodical with my setup, so I want to try to set up a little bit quicker and more deliberately next time. But I ended up doing a little bit more. I did 20 more pounds on my straight weight sets and 15 more pounds on my reverse band sets. So I did a 585 deadlift, which was good. And considering I only pulled 595 last meet, and my 595 translated to a 640 deadlift, I'm very happy with pulling 585 this early in the cycle. Still got a lot of time. Then I did a 620 reverse monster mini deadlift, which was 15 pounds more than last cycle, last phase. And then I did a 650 reverse light band deadlift, which is around what I want to do. I want to kind of pull between 650 and 660 on a third attempt, if all things go well. 660 at 220 would be like a triple bodyweight deadlift, and it would tie my all-time PR. And I think with the 300 kilo number, it actually will end up being probably a small, like 1 pound all-time meet PR. So, closing in, I do eventually want to get back to that 700 range, which I've done in the gym, and I've just missed in competition before, but 660 is my official all-time best, which I hit at 275. If you want to check out footage, it's on my channel as well. I hit a 660 pull deadlift only meet this past last year, October, with Bench and Benny. And that was an all-time PR I did at 275. So that's kind of the main work for today. So for accessories, I always try to do some sort of conventional work after I do my sumo work in my suit. I don't necessarily recommend this, but for more advanced lifts, I just went right down to 5 plates. Obviously, my nervous system was kind of active already. I've been struggling with my conventional pulls. If you've been watching the channel, I've been struggling with my starting position, but I do feel that conventional deadlift is a really good strength builder. It's going to be a little bit more lower back dominant, a little bit more hamstring dominant. Take the hips and the legs, especially like it's not as much glute dominant as like a sumo deadlift. You're going to be a little bit more bent over. So one of the things I'm trying to do is just try and maintain as much back strength as possible. So I did worked up to 590. I shouldn't say worked up. I did a down set of 495 for 8. I did that with straps. The first rep was tough. I really took every ounce of my soul to finish that set. But my target was 8 reps, so I achieved my goal for that. So back strength is getting better. Like I said, a couple of weeks ago, after my little snafu with drinking alcohol, I literally only worked up to like 375 in my working sets. And I only did, I did like a 40, I want to say I did 425 with some chains last week. So for me to hit 495 for 8 after a little bit of layoff from heavy squatting and heavy deadlifting, I was happy with that. I also hit 495 for 8 with wraps this past week. So my raw strength is not terrible. It's definitely not my best. It's a far cry from my 700 squat with sleeves. And me hitting, I've done 635 for double raw conventional as well. So Far cry from my best, but at this body weight, it's definitely right around my best, if not my best rep number. So it's pretty close to my raw strength is good, especially since it's not a focus. One thing that I've been doing this phase of training, I switched up my accessories a little bit. So I did some deficit deadlifts with a belt, and I kept these very light. I did 315 for 2 sets of 8 today. We used a 1.5 inch step. We used the DC blocks. You can get Elite FTS. You get them. I don't know if Sorenex is the company that makes them, but I think Sorenex sells them. Elite FTS sells them. They're really great because you can stack them, so they're really good for different heights, whether you're doing deficits or block pulls. And they're really great if you have a team setting like ours, because you can adjust them. So those are great. Those are 1.5 inch. I do think for most people, for deficits, one of the things that we advocate is actually don't go really too much more than 1.5 inches. So some people might want to start with a 45-pound plate. The 1.5 inch is a good general place to start if you have good mobility. And you can even kind of stand. 100-pound plate is a little bit taller. So anywhere from 1 to 2 inches is good. If you have really long arms, really good mobility, you can go up to 2 inches. But the 1.5 inch step is a pretty good place to start. We like to do these typically with deficits. I've done this. I used to do them heavy when I was doing more of a true West Side, true concurrent conjugate system. My best ever was 570 when I was pulling around 700 off that 1 inch step. Nowadays, we've been doing more strict deficits, and a lot of times what ends up happening is when people do deficits, they end up going too heavy, and it ends up turning into just another stiff leg, even a round back stiff leg. So my advice, if you're looking to implement deficits into your routine, if you're doing a deficit deadlift, do it with the intent of actually setting with your hips a little bit lower. Since you're higher up, you're going to have to squat down a little bit lower. Our emphasis is trying to resist any spinal flexion, so you're getting that kind of isometric contraction in your erectors and your low back, and you're getting a little bit more quad. You can see I'm really trying to set my hips a little bit lower, not trying to have my hips shoot up. And we really feel like when it comes to isometrics and sticking points and this and that, there's a lot of research that shows that you're going to train 15 degrees above or below that position. So if you do a deficit deadlift, it's a really good way to train your start, since you're going to get some strength a little bit above and below that range, especially if you're trying to hold that isometric contraction in your lower back. So that's why we feel like deficits are really good off the floor. But if you're not really ingrained in the proper starting position and you're just doing a round back stiff leg deadlift, we feel it's not going to transfer over as much. So if you're going to do a stiff leg deadlift, do like a flat back stiff legged deadlift. Most people don't need to use a deficit. If you have really good mobility, you can certainly do a stiff leg deficit. But in our methodology, we really like to do a deficit deadlift with the intent of setting up with your hips a little bit lower. And you can certainly go heavy on these, but make sure you're not so heavy that you're losing technique. And understand the intent of the exercise. So if your intent of the exercise is just to be more of a hamstring builder, then I think a stiff leg or an RDL, sumo stiff leg's a better choice. If you're trying to get more strength off the floor, trying to improve that starting position off the floor, a little bit more leg drive off the ground, then doing a deficit deadlift with a more flat back, a little more upright posture is what's recommended. And then lastly, you see on my box here, in October last year, we got another great video. We'll link it in the description. But Louis Simmons taught me the old chair deadlifts. Those were fun. He was cranking me back and getting my body into all these weird positions. And this is a really, really challenging movement. I definitely recommend doing this movement with straps because it's going to be really grip intensive. Because basically what you want to do, it's a great movement for the hips and back. And you're basically, it's a great way to build strength and mobility for the sumo deadlift. You're going to set up with your feet actually a little bit of a negative shin angle, wide stance, really trying to keep the knees out. And we're going to arch to start, so the bar is just going to be hovering off the floor. It's going to take a lot of back strength just to hold that position, especially with a straight back. And then we're going to use the hips, so we're going to arch up, and then use the hips to kind of come up. So we're going to arch, and then stand. A very challenging movement. I feel like this has definitely helped my starting position on the sumo deadlift. It could be useful for both raw and equipped lifters. If you're an equipped lifter, you can also play with doing this variation as a max effort movement with some light briefs, things like that, if you're doing more of a West Side system. But so I've been doing the deficit deadlifts and the chair deadlifts as the accessories, as well as some kind of my normal upper back work and things like that. So all in all, I was able to kind of hit my target weights for this week. We got hopefully squats and bench will go just as well. Also on this day, I usually bump up my calories a little bit. I have my little Lenny's and Larry's cookies as a little treat. So that's kind of my like pre-suited ritual and something I've been kind of doing. Just kind of a mental change of pace, give me a little sugar, a little bit extra carbs. That's something I do all the time, but definitely try to eat a little bit more on a day where it's a testing day, it's a little higher priority, and then throughout the training month, when workouts are a little bit lower priority, obviously drop the calories. I don't need as much fuel for those things. So that's basically the updates, guys. And again, if you're watching this and you're kind of wondering why I'm doing this and all that, I signed up, if you're watching the series, I signed up for Reebok Record Breakers November 10th. So I wanted to chronicle my journey. I've never done a meet where I've kind of flown on a plane, and I've never really done a high-level kind of national meet with really world-class competitors. So even though I'm not a world-class lifter, we've had trained a lot of world-class and national-level lifters in the past. You can see by a record board here and some of the I think it's well over 50 nationally ranked lifters that we've helped either get to that achievement or guide through an improved total, improved ranking. So as a coach, I just want to make sure that I'm walking the walk, I'm leading by example, and I also understand what my athletes are going through, which is why I'm kind of going through this experience, and I'm going to kind of chronicle it. So even though my main priority is a coach first, I want to make sure I kind of understand what our athletes are going through, and I know it's going to allow me to be a better coach moving forward. So thank you for following me on my road to 220, road to Reebok Record Breakers. Thank you guys so much for watching. If this video helped you, please subscribe. We've got a lot of great content coming up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you check out the links below. And until next time, stay strong, and we'll see you soon.